us. It's always a great pleasure to talk to you. We now move on and over to some breaking news coming out of the Middle East next. And Israeli authorities have informed the United States that they are prepared to carry out unilateral strikes on Iran if necessary. According to local Israeli media, Israeli Defense Ministry representatives shared this message with Pentagon officials last week. Israel has outlined its plans to strike Iran independently if Tehran crosses its red line on ballistic missiles. While Israel does not currently see immediate threats, it continues to monitor the situation closely. Officials also expressed concerns that any potential US action against Iran may be limited, which contradicts Israel's stance. Meanwhile, a new round of negotiations between Iran and the US took place in Muscat, Oman, focusing on Tehran's nuclear program. Saul Sadka joins us now. He's a political commentator. He joins us live from Tel Aviv. Saul, thank you very much for joining us. The Trump administration has been outspoken when it comes to seeing diplomacy first, negotiating with Iran, with, of course, that military threat still there, loaded up in the Persian Gulf. If Israel does interfere here, will it throw all that diplomatic progress that the United States has already said it favors out the window?
Well, we saw the same thing a few times already over the past year and a half, and we have to make a very strong distinction between what is being said and what is being done. And for example, so we read this report and we don't know, is this the real facts, or has this been leaked specifically to give certain people a message that they might be able to put a piece of paper between the Americans and the Israelis, or perhaps they could play them off against each other. Most likely, this is all messaging. We've seen in the past is that when Israel attacked Iran, even though the USA pretended not to know about it, it was quite clear that they did. And the same thing happened, by the way, with Qatar. The evidence that the Americans were informed of the Israelis' intent to attack Hamas leaders in Qatar is almost incontrovertible. So I would take this with a grain of salt. The Israelis and the Americans are and have been in the past working together to play essentially diplomatic divide and rule games against various parts of the Iranian regime. And that's probably what's happening here again. Although Israel, of course, as we saw in June, certainly does have the ability pretty much do whatever it wants to the Iranians. Once the Iranians no longer have any air defense or any proxy deterrence from Hezbollah or Hamas, the Israelis are basically free to have their way with whatever they want to do in Iran.
The Israelis, of course, have not been silent about their wishes for the Americans to take direct military action in Iran. Of course, the Trump administration has been reluctant. What will this do to the Israeli-United States relationship if Israel is seen undermining those diplomatic efforts by the United States to negotiate its ballistic missiles, its nuclear program, and its support for regional proxies when it comes to negotiations to them? Do you think that Donald Trump will react well to a direct Israeli military action?
Well, like I said, my assumption is, and the evidence for this, that this is already a game, that the Americans and the Israelis, as they have been before, are completely in cahoots. And the messaging that's coming out from Israel and from America is all coordinated to present Iran with an impossible situation. Like, all its decisions at this point are bad ones. It has to make a very bad choice, and it has no way around it. So the Americans are giving the impression they might be willing to negotiate, and as they're willing to negotiate, they're building up an ever vaster array of defensive and offensive capabilities all around Iran.
Apologies for the interruption. Any idea what these red lines could be? When it turns Israel saying that it's outlined its plans to strike Iran independently if Tehran crosses its red line. What is that?
But that hasn't been publicly announced. I read through the reports, and it's not clear exactly what that is. My guess it might be something to do with the re-establishment of production lines that were destroyed by Israel in June, or perhaps it will be the development of more complex and advanced missiles that would be able to better evade the current state-of-the-art defensive apparatus that the Israelis and the Americans have. It could be something like that. Or it could simply be a number. It could be that the Israelis are making assumptions that the Iranians have, say, 1,000 missiles capable of reaching their territory. And they are quite happy with that situation because they know they can bat most of them away. But say they would be more reluctant if they knew the Iranians were trying to build 2,000 more. Or perhaps they are simply worried about the number of launchers, because if you recall, the main issue with these missiles is not how many they have in total, but how many they can fire off at once. Because the only real threat from non-nuclear ballistic missiles is the question of can they be fired off at such a rate as to overwhelm the defensives.
Okay,
And
so
currently we don't have enough launchers to do that.
okay, so do stay with us as we turn over to a related development. We head over to Gaza and Israel.